Alright, so we just finished The Adventures of HuckleberyFinn.
Well, most of us have.
Well, one of us has.
I have finished it, yes. So, Alex, why don't you start by giving us a summary of what you've read so far?
Okay, so right now I'm at the point where Huckleberry Finn finds Jim on that island. And, like, they both spooked each other. And Jim sees that Huck has a gun. And he says, wow, we could be hunting with that gun. Because for the whole time, Jim's been out there longer than Huck Finn has. And he's only been eating berries, like strawberries and like little things, so he's pretty much starving.
That's all you've got. Okay, Bradley, why don't you give a summary?
So far, I've gotten up to where Huckleberry and Jim meet the King and the Duke, and they've gone and tried scamming a couple towns already, where, I'm not sure whether it was the King or the Duke, but the King, I think, had gone to the religious revival and told everyone he was a pirate, and thanks to the revival, he became a changed man, and then he got money from it.
Alright.
I'm actually behind Bradley.
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've been waiting for Bradley. But I'm at the part right before he meets the King and the Duke. The last two chapters have been kind of confusing to me because they've been like very detail oriented and like talking about other people that are in the story now. So the last part that I remember prominently is Huck was going down the river and he meets these two guys on a boat and they're like, "Is that your raft?" And he goes, "Yeah." And the guys go, "Are there any slaves on that raft?" And Huck goes, "No, just my father, sir." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well why aren't you with him?" "Because he's ill, sir." And then they think Jim is Huck's father and he has smallpox. So they give Jim and Huck 40 pence, or whatever the currency was.
Dollars, I assume.
No, it wasn't dollars.
It was dollars.
No, they didn't say dollars in the book. It wasn't dollars.
Jim once had $35 with him. They said that.
I know, but they said something else and it wasn't dollars. It was, I remember the book, it was not dollars. It was some sort of coin currency.
Well, while Bradley looks that up, I will give my summary.
It was like chapter 14 or 13.
Except in America, back then, they had dollars and cents.
It wasn't cents or dollars. It was like...
Okay, anyway, while Bradley looks it up.
I just want to say I looked at the page and the first thing I saw was, "Ain't that gay?"
Well, gay means happy back then.
They have different connotations.
Yes.
Let me give my
Dictation.
summary, because I'm the only one of you that's finished the book. Let's all remind ourselves.
You're making me feel shameful, thank you.
You should feel free.
That was
So-
bad. You should feel bad.
So I finished the book, as we all know.
Way to brag.
And Huck and Tom ended up going back to the town together, and they escaped. Well, they didn't escape, but Jim managed to continue to be with them. And actually, the end was kind of confusing, so I hope I'm getting it right. But Tom was encouraging Huck when they were trying to get Jim out from the jail to do it in a really romantic way. So be like, oh, well, not kiss romantic, but adventure romantic. He has to carve his name into the wall because that's what prisoners do and stuff like that. So they got Jim out, and but they wanted to send a note to the people who were keeping him locked up that there was going to be a gang of Native Americans or something like that who was going to try to steal Jim to make it harder on themselves so they could feel more like heroes. And Tom ended up getting shot in the leg. I think I said this last time actually, but he was tended to by a doctor, and then Huck and Tom were discovered because they'd switched names, and yeah, Jim was fine. Everything turned out pretty okay in the end. And I think Huck's dad died, but I'm not sure. He's not going to be in the picture, I know that. So, yeah, that's how the story ended. So, have you found it yet, Bradley?
Almost there.
So you're at the point where you met guys on the boat and
Mhm.
talked about his dad, right?
Yes.
Okay. Should be something after that. They feel bad and they give him money, but it's definitely not dollars.
Anyway, while Bradley continues to search, probably
For the
For
next
not with
15
any
minutes.
efficiency, Alex, what did you find for examples of courage?
Well, back then it was like before it was before the abolishment of slavery. So it was pretty dangerous and courageous for Huck to have Jim tag along with him on his adventure and back to like wherever, that far. But other than that, it's pretty courageous. And the fact that he didn't know who it was at first on the island, so he sort of just like peeked through the bushes and jumped out.
Like a peeping Tom. All right, Bradley, you got it?
Yes, I do. I'll read it straight from the book
Okay.
instead of paraphrasing. Here, I'll put a $20 gold piece on this
Gold
board.
piece! That's what
$20 gold piece.
it was. A gold piece. That was what it was.
It was still
gold
worth
piece.
$20,
Ha!
which was the current currency for that time, which
Yeah, but
was
the gold
Alex's
piece
point.
messed me up so bad.
Well, now that that has been solved, I agree with you, Alex.
Thank you.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
Alright, now my piece of courage goes along with what Alex said about how it was kind of dangerous for Jim and Huck to be Jim to be hanging around Huck. And so my piece of courage was that it took a lot of courage for Huck, who was starting to feel bad that he was going to free Jim, and he was about to go tell on Jim, but then he thought back to their friendship this entire time and decided that he wanted to not report Jim, that Jim was his friend. So I think it took a lot of courage for him to admit that Jim was his friend.
It's very interesting. Eleanor?
Well, there were a lot of instances of courage throughout the book, and what you guys said was definitely some big examples. But I thought what was most courageous was Huck, actually, the character. And I'm kind of more summarizing here because, I did finish the book,
Way to brag.
But I thought Huck was just all the way, he tried to listen to his conscience, even though society at that time was you should feel bad because, the widow is without her slave and how's she going to function. And I was thinking, and he was well, I mean, I feel bad about that, but also I feel worse that Jim is going to be friendless and alone in the world. So
you're thinking more of his morality / personality?
Yeah. Yeah, more of that. And there were a couple things that he did, he tattled on the king and duke about halfway through because they were trying to con someone. But I think Huck was definitely the most courageous character. Although Jim, to go along with all of that, was pretty, he was a stand-up guy too, I guess. So, Bradley.
I actually felt it was actually courageous for Huck to allow the king and the duke to join them on their adventure and trust them even though he knew they were con men. So.
What's also what we could make out of this book? What's some text-to-life example we could make? Eleanor, what's a text-to-life example we can make in the book?
I actually don't know if this is true. I didn't have any research or anything about it because I heard it a couple years ago, but my mom said that one of the senators in one of the states wanted to try to sanitize the Adventures of Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn, to make it better for little kids to read. And this is kind of off topic, but I thought that was kind of a really bad thing to do because even though it's a terrible piece of your history, you still have to know it. and learn from your mistakes. What do you guys think?
Right, I agree completely with that. I mean, it's a lot of schools ban the book because of the language they use, but the book was made during a time period when that language was used. And even in schools, we are taught about slavery, and one of the main things they teach us when they teach us about slavery is that it's bad and that it shouldn't be allowed. It's one of the main things they teach us. So, going along that, why shouldn't we read a book that's back in our past, our history? Everyone should know their history.
I agree with that. Personal preference, I can never live in a place where something is banned. Like, just the choice. I want to be able to read this.
Well,
or
when you're
watch
living in the
this.
perfect country, yes.
Yeah, I gotta say that. Just the whole fact that the book is banned in a lot of schools only for the language is just, it's really sad because there's a whole bunch of history. It's a fictional book, but it contains history of slavery and how it was, and etc.
etc., etc.
You're gonna get a lot of peaceful views.
It doesn't say how long it's been.
Alright, well, any so what's, at all?
I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Guns are dangerous.
Very true. In the wrong hands, they can be.
I think a major so what in the book would be, not now, it wouldn't apply to now, but it would apply back then, would be that Huck is it's like a Caucasian white kid, and then Jim is a African American black man, and they develop this deep friendship throughout this book. I think what Mark Twain wants to say is that it doesn't matter if you're black or white, we're all the same, and I think Mark Twain was very anti-slavery when he wrote it.
I don't particularly know. I think I agree that he's probably anti-slavery, especially with all the sentiments that Huck had, but I don't think he was trying to illustrate that black and white people are the same, because they weren't at that time, because black people were treated terribly and they didn't have the same circumstances that white people had. So I don't think that they were the same. In fact, I would argue that Huck had more power than Jim, just because he was white, even though he was a little kid. But I think it's different.
Going off of that, I think it just shows the difference in people between the generations of Mrs. Watson, was her name?
Yeah.
The widow, and Huck's generation, showing the acceptance of free slaves and so on.
Alex, any thoughts?
Kind of closing thoughts?
Not really.
I have a question. Are any of you guys going to finish the book?
I am. I downloaded the book onto my iPod.
So far, do you guys like the book? Or?
That's good.
Yeah, I like it.
For sure.
But it's too slow. I really like the character Tom, Sawyer, and I want to get to Tom, but I'm only at the part where he's about to beat the Duke.
I didn't really like the book actually, and I put this in my reading log, but I thought it was a good book. I just personally didn't enjoy it that much, because I don't really like reading about little kids running off having adventures. I like romance books and stuff.
Or maybe it's
I
just
like
because you're
any adventure
jealous.
type book.
Of hockey, yes, probably.
Yeah.
Secret and jealousy. Anyway, so
Alright, well, that's it for our very last...
that's it for today, folks.
That's
Our
all,
very
folks.
last discussion.
We're sorry.